5 friends vanished after a basketball game, and what was left behind made no sense. This is the mystery of the Yuba County Five, often called America's Dyatlov Pass. What started as a night of laughter would soon turn into one of the strangest disappearances in U.S. history. They were known as the Boys. 5 friends from Yuba City, California, kind, trusting, inseparable. Ted Weiher, 32, gentle and childlike. Jack Madruga, 30, an Army veteran and the group's driver. Bill Sterling, 29, deeply religious and protective. Jack Hewitt, 24, shy and sweet. And Gary Mathias, 25, another veteran, managing schizophrenia with medication. They played for a team called the Gateway Gators, and they had a big game coming up the next day. If they won, they'd go to Los Angeles, their dream. But the night before that game, fate took them somewhere far from the court. February 24, 1978. The 5 friends piled into Jack's turquoise and white Mercury Montego. They drove 50 miles north to Chico State University for a basketball game. Afterward, they stopped at a store for snacks. Hostess pies, soda, candy bars. It was around 10 p.m. Then, they vanished. Instead of heading home south toward Yuba City, they drove east into the mountains. A narrow, icy road. Miles from any town. No one knows why. Days later, their car would be found, but what investigators saw inside made even less sense. 4 days later, a forest ranger spotted a car on a remote logging road. The same Mercury Montego. Perfect condition. Not stuck. Not damaged. Gas in the tank. Inside, snack wrappers, maps, a basketball program. Outside, nothing. No footprints. No tracks. It looked as if they just stepped out of existence. But what the snow would hide for months was far darker than anyone imagined. Police searched. Helicopters scanned the white wilderness. Snowstorms buried every clue. Families waited, prayed, and feared the worst. For months, nothing. Then, for months later, when the snow began to melt, the mountain finally gave up one of its secrets. And what they found defied all logic. 19 miles from where the car was found, a group of motorcyclists discovered an old Forest Service trailer. Inside, on a bed, lay Ted Weiher. He was wrapped neatly in sheets as if someone had cared for him. But Ted had starved to death. All around him, canned food enough to last for a year. A working propane heater. Matches. Blankets. He'd survived nearly 13 weeks, but never used any of it. Someone had made it to safety, so why did they still die there? Searchers spread out. 11 miles from the car, 2 bodies. Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga, side by side, frozen in the woods. A few miles farther, Jack Hewitt, partly buried by snow. But one man was still missing, Gary Mathias. Inside the trailer, they found Gary's tennis shoes. He might have borrowed Ted's heavier shoes and gone for help, but he was never seen again. To this day, not a single trace of Gary Mathias has ever been found. And yet, the clues left behind hinted that someone, or something, was out there with them. Why did they drive up that mountain? Some say they got lost. But 70 miles in the wrong direction? Impossible. Others believe Gary had a mental breakdown and led them astray. But there was no sign of violence. Then came the whispers. Someone chased them. A red truck was seen tailing a car that night. Another man claimed he saw 5 figures and a baby crying near the same mountain road. But that man was in shock from his own car accident, and his memories blurred in the snow. Whatever happened, the mountain kept its secret. If they were running from something, who or what were they running to? The Yuba County Five remain one of America's strangest unsolved disappearances. 5 friends who went out for a basketball game and ended up lost to something unseen, something that lured them deep into the cold and the dark. They walked into the woods one February night in 1978, and only 4 ever came back. The story of the Yuba County Five reminds us how thin the line is between the familiar and the unknown, between safety and the shadows beyond it. If you were in their shoes that night, would you have stayed with the car? Or followed the road into the dark? Tell me your theory in the comments. And if stories like this keep you up at night, subscribe and join me next time for another mystery that refuses to stay buried.